Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by a very, very special guest. My good friend, I think my first bona fide LA friend. Bonafide LA local, LA native from LA, but doesn't really have LA vibes, if I'm being honest, with love. Christie Bahna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Danny Vega. I actually think it is kind of a compliment when people... I don't know, when people say I'm not from Los Angeles.
Yeah, you don't
More so because people are like, are you from LA? Because you have... usually when people ask, are you from LA? It's because they are about to say something pejorative.
It's a weird town. I think it's a nuanced town, but it is, I think you must be from LA. That to me does not sound like a compliment.
It's a hair away from you just might be a redneck. Like
you just
might be from LA.
You might be an LA Nick if you put a lot of thought into your appearance. It's the worst.
Nailed it.
Worst thing I've ever said. But in LA, that's not a bad joke. So the bar is lower. I think, look,
not a bad.
Here's what it is.
Woof, we're getting right in on the LA comedy scene.
No,
LA's
I mean,
jumped.
no.
I have been told that I would do better in New York.
Well, you do better in San Francisco, don't you?
Right.
Because you lived in San Fran.
I do better only because I started there and I know more people. By do better, I mean like people would laugh harder at your jokes in New York because they say it's a little bit of a more cerebral.
This is cerebral comes to mind. I think also meanness. In LA, people are like, oh, don't say that, bro. Like, that's sort of mean, bro.
I'm not
like in LA,
I'm direct though. I'm probably too blunt for Los Angeles.
But okay, so I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm trying to think of when I was mean. I don't know. I'm just mean on stage. I'm mean.
I just can't think of a time I've been mean ever.
It's just like meanness in general. I feel isn't part of the LA culture because it's so fake. It's like you're not going to be direct and brutal. You're going to be instead like, yeah, this is a great screenplay idea. Oh my God, yeah, a bunch of miners are stuck in a mine when a tornado hits the mine from underground and then hawks attack them. That's great, man. Oh, that's awesome.
We've covered disaster movies, but never underground disaster movies.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a lot of territory that hasn't been traversed. Just kidding. No one in LA would say traversed.
Yeah, no, they don't. And look, it's not everybody. It's just the dominant cultural
100%
energy is not intellectual here. That's it.
Having said that, I love LA.
I love it. I'm not moving back. It's so chill.
Oh, you've never said that before.
I can't. I love the sun. I love the parks. And there's great people here. It's just, what is the vibe? What is the vibe of the average person here? And it is a little bit like, hi, good to meet you. What do you do? Okay, thank you. Like, it's just this...
Lobotomized.
Yeah.
Lobotomized optimism. And I want in, baby.
That's fair.
I want in.
That's fair. You want in?
I'm getting more optimistic, though. I used to be really, really pessimistic. But that was also like partly my job.
So let's go into that because you, I think, have an interesting career flow.
Love how you said that.
You were a big shot
flow
corporate lawyer at a big firm, big law as they call it.
Correct.
By the way, the laws aren't actually bigger now. It's kind of a myth. They kind of try to pay off like the laws are so big. They're so big.
Medium-sized law.
The laws are the same size as all the other laws for the most part.
Some of them are
some of them
getting
chonkers?
big. Some of them are chonkers.
Yeah. But
this new Dobbs decision, let me tell you.
Yeah. What is Lou Dobbs?
No, this new Dobbs decision.
Dobbs?
Like Roe v. Wade being overturned.
What's the name of that case? Is that Dobbs?
Yeah, that's the new Supreme Court case. Anyway, edit this out.
There's no editing. So you were a litigant, though. You were in trial, which is interesting.
This is true.
It's cool. And so would you say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
I was never addressing a jury.
Only judges?
Yeah, I've only addressed judges. I've worked on jury trials, but I've never been like first chairing a trial. That they give that to the very seasoned people.
Okay.
I almost said they give that to the seasoned.
You were never the Camille Vasquez of the squad.
No, sadly.
What a shame. I could see you tearing it up.
I could see me tearing it up too, but at the same time, the amount of just time in at a law firm that I would have to really fucking want to be a trial lawyer, especially. And it's harder to be a trial lawyer, especially at a big law firm, because you're handling like millions or billions dollar cases.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of money.
If I wanted to do trial, I would probably have to be like a criminal lawyer.
Did you have any highlights, though, that stuck with you? Moments of glory? I mean, what would you tell the average person who's like, what is it like to be a big shot, big law litigant?
I would just say it's certainly not for the faint of heart. And I loved a lot of it, but it just became untenable in terms of other things I wanted to pursue. I'm not like 100% done with the law. I just
you're not done with the law. That's an interesting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm probably satisfied with my decision to depart from big law. But certainly, I don't know. I mean, right now.
You fought the law and you drew. It's actually a draw right now. Nobody knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, nobody won. There's no winners.
So part of you is still interested. I mean, look, lawyers are very powerful, right? Because in the end, it's kind of like Harry Potter. Right? Like, this piece of paper means you can go to this place. It's like, okay, that's just a deed. Calm down. But
the worst Harry Potter impression.
Well, everyone in Harry Potter talks like this.
Absolutely.
Whoa. So it has to be bad, or we can be subject to civil litigation.
Oi.
That's my excuse for all my bad comedy. It's like just a legal shield.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, I'm Steve Irwin. It has to be bad, Christy.
Oh, boy.
It just has to be that quality.
My favorite is the moment where he's like, excuse me, can you tell me where platform 9 3/4 is? And then the guy goes, think you're being funny, do you? I love that guy. That guy who just has one line. Think you're being funny, do you?
Because it's 9 in between 9 and 10.
9 3/4. He's like,
that's not funny.
That doesn't exist.
It's not funny. But I do think the law is like a spell, because like expelliarmus,
yes,
right?
Yes.
You say expelliarmus.
Exactly.
And that disarms somebody else's spell, which in this metaphor would be like some sort of court.
Right. Ex post facto.
There we go.
A lot of Latin in there.
A lot of Latin in the law. They say possession is 9/10 of the law.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a thing that's out there. You ever Google that one?
I don't like talking about exorcisms or any demon thing. I'm going to say right now.
Yeah.
Anytime someone's like, do you like scary movies?
You're like,
as
I'm
long
a
as
lawyer.
it doesn't involve exorcism.
As a
possession
lawyer,
is 9/10 of the law.
I focus on the 1/10 of the law that is not about demons.
Yeah.
But no, it means basically, right, that if you have some shit, that's like a big deal. Which wasn't a good version of the phrase. When they first said it, they're like, how about the phrase is when you have some shit, it's kind of a big deal. Everyone's like, we're not really clear on what you're getting at there.
What about finders keepers?
Finders keepers.
What about squatters' rights?
They went through a lot of drafts on it.
Yeah. Let's get back to development on that.
But so, okay.
Anyway, yeah. So to answer your question, some people are doing like business deals. And so that involves no time in the courtroom, So it just depends on what you want your entire life to look like.
And you didn't want to do it because now, as of a year and a half ago, you said, I'm out, you pieced, and now you are focusing pretty much exclusively, fair to say, on stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
That's fair to say.
Stand-up and writing and being creative. And basically, I had a deathbed moment, was like, if I don't do this right now, I'm not going to try, and I need to do it because I will regret it on my deathbed. That's basically why I was like, all right, I need to just take a break and try this because, that's what it is.
Did something happen? Did somebody hold you up with a gun in the street? Why did you reach this deathbed point?
The pandemic.
Oh, the pandemic did this shit to you?
I knew this. I had this resolution in 2019, but then when the pandemic happened, that's when everything became, when people really were dropping like flies. You know? But just like big law, it can completely eclipse your life and make you feel like you do not own your life or your time.
Yeah.
And I just needed to take a little break from that. And I am enjoying my life so much more. I really am.
That's great.
But I did like the law. I do miss having an office to be at every day, and then also with the more mentally stimulating, challenging stuff like that. It's just amazing how few people give a shit that you can make a well-reasoned argument when you are in the entertainment industry.
I don't know if I would go that, because I guess I do feel like stand-up is made of reasoning. It can be, certainly. But it's just very, I feel like here's what it is.
The pendulum can swing too far when you're just like, logically, and then people tune out.
Well, but there's a logic to it, right? There's an analytical side that can be a huge edge.
Yeah, that's why there's so many lawyer comedians.
Exactly.
Like there is a...
And this is why I'm an early investor. I said it. If I could buy Christie stock, I would buy fucking much.
I remember when you said that. That was really sweet.
Because in the end, it's an analytical game, but it's not. I think the problem with comedy compared to law or being a finance or whatever the fuck analytical thing, it's the results are very nonlinear. So like if you sit there and you work on your little Excel hacks, you will get better at Excel slowly and steadily, but you can pretty much throw yourself at stand up. And I mean, I've wasted a whole year working on one joke and it's just like, that joke just doesn't work. And it's like, that was just a waste of time.
Oh, that sounds like the world's most boring montage of just you at desks.
Saying the same. And it's not
a window behind you.
The sad part is
the seasons change behind you and your clothes haven't changed.
The joke is changing like one trivial word at a time. It went from like, the horse is sad to like, a horse is melancholy. And you're like, that never had legs.
That horse joke slaps though.
Thank you. You like the horse joke? I
fucking love that joke. It's a great joke.
So now you're in the relatively unstructured world of stand-up. We actually had a great bonding moment recently. We went to see a show together. It was a great show.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I will talk about the show because I think what was so cool is that we went to see Rory Scovel, who is like a widely respected, I would characterize him maybe as an improvisational comedian. I think that's pretty fair characterization.
And he's a great actor too.
Great actor, super fun to watch. Doesn't do stand-up anything like mine or like I think yours.
No.
Like we're both pretty like kind of scripted. But anyway, what blew me away about the show, I love Rory. It was great to see him. But there was a clown, what is described as a clown. I'm still not really comfortable using this term. To me, the term clown is a slur used at a comedian I don't like. And
no, sir, it's its own art form.
It's weird because usually we don't call any art forms after slurs. That's insane. They need to rebrand clowning. I think it's a terrible name.
All right.
You clown.
Or they're restoring the dignity to the art form.
Yeah, what's that called?
Rehabilitating?
No, like when you take a reappropriating or something.
Yeah,
reappropriating, like when you're like, I'm
rebranding. They're gentrifying clown.
Like people do with slut shaming, right? They're like, I'm a slut.
Oh, reclaiming, yeah.
Reclaiming.
Yeah, reclaiming clown. One of the most highly regarded clowns in all of...
I can't!
I'm not...
Can we say theatrical performer? We're going to call this guy a clown? You're not with me at this all that clown is a mean word?
His fucking show's called Stand Up and Clown.
Oh, I guess
Chad Damiani. He's so
wonderful.
wonderful.
Incredible.
A phenomenal performer. He's been doing it for 30 years. He's so nice. He's so talented. I feel energized every time I watch him. He's amazing.
So good. And I'm going to, obviously, this is not going to be as good as what I saw, but just to characterize it a little bit, guys, he had basically,
are you allowed to like...
Is it illegal to say a clown's tricks? See, the rules are so unclear.
It's like blowing somebody's punchline,
A magician never reveals their tricks, but you're allowed to describe magic you saw.
Okay. Can I take a stab at it?
Oh, you're going to explain it now?
Yeah, well, I was going to do it in a way that isn't like, oh, here's what you can expect. Does that make sense?
Wait, does he do the same act every time? I thought that was just kind of one of his runs, but go ahead. Go for it.
I'm just going to say he performs for people silently. He never uttered one word and unifies the audience with music, dance, light.
Yeah.
And all different types of theatrical tools.
Okay, I think I would be a little more concrete than that, but that's a good abstract. I would say his facial expressions, he tells stories and communicates so much.
Yeah.
Through his physical, and by the way, the grace of a ballerina. This guy probably weighs like, this guy could easily rip me in half. He's like completely jacked, like twice my width and height. Just a giant, tremendous man. The grace of this man. The poetry of his facial expressions and the light and his body. It was beautiful. It was beautiful and funny. And it took me on such a journey. And I just think clown. I'm Bozo. It's like,
I know that.
Rebrand clowning. Is anyone behind me on this? But I was touched by it. We were touched by it. I mean, you'd seen something similar before. I hadn't. So this is like I lost my clown card, or whatever, clown virginity.
I mean, you cannot lose your clown virginity to anyone better than Chad Damiani.
Ugh, incredible. I don't like when people do that. And now I want to unpack why. When people will be like, I guess you took my vegan meal virginity. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know why it annoys me so much.
Earlier this morning, I was telling you about how annoyed I am when people try to paint a silver lining for me.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
And so, like, when something bad happens to me and somebody goes, well, at least you could put this in your material.
Well, no, hold on. You're explaining about it. It's when somebody does something kind of fucked up to you.
Yeah. And
they did something at you that's like they should be apologizing for, but instead they try to spin it to you.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, you can put this in your bit now, Christy.
Exactly. So somebody's trying to repurpose their own mistake as a lesson and a gift to you. So they're re-gifting their own fucking mistake and being like, here you go.
Terrible gift.
And I'm like, don't paint a silver lining. I will decide whether this horrible experience was quote unquote worth it for the story. For example, when I got pickpocketed in Vegas, got a great bit out of it. Absolutely worth losing hundreds of dollars.
The pickpocket didn't grab your wallet and be like, this is going to be a good one later. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I got pickpocketed by Redneck Goofy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like Redneck Goofy. You might be a redneck. You might be an LA neck. That's his opening joke.
The worst callback. Yeah. I hate this callback. Yeah. Let us hang
again.
Up the phone.
Reminder: the jokes are bad to avoid litigation. I am one of the most targeted legal victims. So everything that's bad here is a legal protection.
Absolutely. Accents are sullied to protect the innocent. Anywho, so the reason why you are annoyed by this is because somebody is trying to infuse meaning into this vegan meal by being like,
yes.
Hi, I just want you to know you should feel special. And this should be special. This was an otherwise unremarkable dinner. But you know what? Because you took my vegan virginity, I'm going to kind of force you to make it memorable. And I'm going to tell you why it's memorable. It's adjacent to painting a silver lining for somebody.
I think here's what it is. It's centering it on yourself.
Right.
Right? It's kind of being like, I'm so interesting for this is my first time. And it's like, well, it's insane that you're 32 years old and haven't had vegan before. I don't know where you've been, Jillian.
Right, exactly.
But like, I can legitimately say, having been to 100,000 comedy shows, I have never seen a clown of this quality.
Right.
But yeah, I think you nailed that.
Never seen an intentional clown.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some fucking clowns. I've been a clown.
You've seen some slurs.
I've been a clown dozens of times.
You've seen some slurs.
Because
clown's the way that you use.
Yeah. Like this fucking
in the pejorative sense.
Yeah.
It's like clown, but it's italicized.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
Clown.
Doing stand-up. What else? You were a lawyer. We talked about that.
Doing some voiceover.
Oh yeah? Can you hit us with some of your voices? Remember to make them bad to prevent.
Oh, absolutely not. You're gonna have to
risk it.
Cash me.
Hold on, let me activate the legal shield. Legal shield activated.
I've just realized that we're T-minus a month away from A Night at the Museum, which is coming out on Disney Plus. That I'm on.
Is that your voiceover?
Yeah. I thought you didn't know that. I thought I told you that.
You lost me. What just happened?
I did a small character in the newest animated Night at the Museum, and it's coming out on Disney Plus in a month.
Got it. Okay,
congrats.
Congrats.
Hate that I said this aloud.
The way you said it, I was like,
it sounds like I'm on the show to promote something.
That's what I thought you were doing. Wait, but can you do the actual voice that you do in it, or is that illegal?
Oh, no, of course I can do it. It's my voice.
Okay, so let's hear it.
It's like I'm playing Queen Nefertiti, so she's just like not having it. She's like, oof, the Book of the Dead warned us that this guy would be a jerk.
Okay, but Nefertiti, like, he's here in our coffee shop, so can we just serve him? Is that okay?
Absolutely not.
Nefertits, please, can you just give me, can we?
Nefertitties. Nefertits.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, VO is that fun? Are you like in a booth and stuff? Is there a director in your ear?
Yeah, it was the most fun I've had all year.
That's great.
I got really serious and solemn because
I
just started reflecting. No, I just got sad because I realized that was the most fun I had all year, and I'm like, well, I hope I get more opportunities to do voiceover.
I hope you do too.
Also, I genuinely am not getting any. I'm not getting residuals. I think it was like
no residuals.
Yeah, no. So that was me promoting it for no reason.
Whatever. Well, that's another thing people say. I don't like. Most fun I've ever had without sex. Most fun I've ever had without sex.
Oh,
and it's like. What's your longest relationship? Because sex is good for like what, 6 months, you know? It's really not that fun. If you average it out, I guess I'm kind of projecting here, but this is another thing I'm thinking about. People are projecting constantly. It's terrifying if you think about it.
It really is.
Almost everything
Nothing isn't a projection.
Exactly. Beautifully put. Beautifully put.
We're all just walking projections.
Because it's like, well, yeah, you think that because of some shit that happened to you, you little freak.
You would say that.
You would say that.
I love telling people. Yeah, you would.
I actually had a really amazing moment. I was projecting. I have like a lot of.
Because you know, like sex is only good like for 1 month.
I said
and then,
3.
And then you fall out of love, and then they like fucking move out. You know, like how.
You know how that happens to everyone. Oh yeah, you're Egyptian. Let's talk about that. Okay, guys, that's the show. She just stared at me. So you're Egyptian. I
didn't know what there was. I thought you were doing a bit like, let's talk about it. All right, we just did. Cool. Yes, I am Egyptian. Let's.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where else to go.
That's what I thought the bit was. Let's talk about it. And then it was like.
Do you feel like? I mean, can I say this? This might be a little coarse. Middle Eastern, we get a lot of stereotypes and shittiness, but I feel like Egyptian isn't really part of that, right? Because Egyptian, you get walk like an Egyptian, which I'm sure is cringe. Nobody's like doing like a shitty accent and they're like, what accent is that? Oh, it's Egyptian. It's like, no, it's not.
I don't think people are cultured enough to distinguish an Egyptian accent for anything else. Well, I think you still get your general hatred towards Middle Eastern or Arab people in that stereotype. It still
comes through, yeah.
100%. And when I'm not being discriminated against on that basis, I'm being discriminated because I look Latina.
Do people think you're Latina?
1000%.
It's very obvious to me that you're not, but maybe that's just because I've known you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty bad at that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess you kind of look like maybe Peruvian.
I get Argentinian, half black, half white, Brazilian. Yeah. Depends on where I am in the country. DC has half black, half white. Anytime I'm like in New York, they're like, oh, you're Puerto Rican or Dominican. And I'm like,
oh, yeah, I am today. Dominican rings. So, well, is there anything you could tell us that, I mean,
Egyptians, they're just like us. They go to the grocery store. They pick up their kids on the school run.
Is it fair game if you run into an Egyptian to bring up the pyramids, or is that shit? Like, what should we do?
It's hack. Go ahead. I mean, people love coming up to me after shows. I won't even do a lot of Egyptian material. I'll literally just say I'm Egyptian because it relates to like one joke I make about not being Latina. And then that's it. And then I won't do jokes about it. But then there's always one white guy who's like, I went to Egypt 10 years ago and let me tell you about my trip. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then there's always that one guy that's like, you gotta go to Dahab. Dahab's great this time of year. As if they've been to Dahab every time of year. I'm like,
Dahab?
Yeah, I'm like, you've been once one time a year.
Is Dahab like the Tucson to Cairo's Phoenix? What's Dahab all about?
It's like a coast town. It's like a vacation place. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of gorgeous places in Egypt. Like
Cairo is not though, right?
Cairo is a major metropolitan city. It is,
And the Suez Canal though, by Egypt, part of Egypt's jurisdiction. Am I wrong there?
Correct.
I seem to remember Egypt being part of that whole
Suez Canal
narrative.
I literally would love that you just started the Suez Canal though. And
it's a banger.
And you paused like I was gonna go, yep.
That's us.
That was us.
Christy, I got to be honest with you. And I know you faced much more discrimination than me as a woman, as an Egyptian, as a person of color, fair to say, as a Latina. I'm white passing. People think I'm Italian. People think I'm Jewish. Everyone agrees I'm annoying. But the thing is, as a Cuban, I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot of things to sink my teeth into. We got the missile crisis.
And you got empanadas.
Cigars.
Sink your teeth into those.
Empanadas aren't us. See, that's what I mean. We don't have we got Cuban sandwiches.
I'm just kidding.
You guys have infrastructure. You've got one of the world wonders.
Math.
No,
we got
Did the Egyptians do math?
Yeah, we got math. We got paper.
Papyrus.
Yeah, we got a lot of shit. We got a lot of
hieroglyphics.
Yeah, like number. Do you know why they're called the Arabic numeral system? Like Arabic number is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was us.
Those are good.
Emojis. That was us.
I don't know. You're taking credit for emojis. Yeah, that's a reach. I think Japan owns the emoji. But you're right.
I think we
Are
did it first.
emojis really just hieroglyphics? That's an interesting question, actually. What about the Babylon, or what is it called? That tablet they found?
The Rosetta Stone.
The Rosetta Stone.
Do you know what's so funny?
Is that in Egypt?
No, actually, it's in the British Museum, which is so funny.
I've been there. Yeah.
All of our shit's there. And I think I asked my dad once, I was like, Dad, aren't you mad that all of our prized obelisks and heritage is in the British Museum and not the Egyptian National Museum? And my dad goes, not really. Frankly, I think the Brits will take better care of it.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, Dad, we're supposed to be anti-colonialism. But you know what? He's not wrong. Because when we went to Egypt, there was a velvet rope that we weren't supposed to cross. And my dad slips the guy a bill and they open the velvet rope and we could just roam around this cave with the original pigmentations and all this shit.
Oh my God.
So they do play it fast and loose because you can bribe people pretty easily in Egypt and just be like, here's a bill. Let me stick my hand up a mummy's ass and make a puppet.
That's what I always wanted to do.
That's what I do.
Well, that's cool. And then there's also Cleopatra and the Fertile Crescent. That's in Egypt, right? The Fertile Crescent.
You're just saying things that
are loosely associated with Egypt.
I'm like, oh, hey, Cuban pork.
Okay.
Dulce de leche.
Is not the Fertile... No, you're... Okay, Dulce de leche, I'll take. But Fertile Crescent...
Pork.
That was a banger. The Fertile Crescent is Egypt, right? Partly? Spanning modern-day Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, and Jordan.
It's literally
Some authors also include Cyprus and northern Egypt. Shout out to some authors.
Shout out to some authors who love that Fertile Crescent. They're like,
there we go.
Oh, you know the tip, the very, very tip of the crescent. That's Egypt.
That's Egypt, mate.
Oh, damn it.
Now, okay, so if
I was going to do enough. Nope, you know what?
I think we've learned that if you meet someone from Egypt, don't throw a bunch of keywords loosely associated.
Don't just be like, the pyramids. Don't just start yelling nouns at somebody because they're from another country.
Are you mad at me? Do I have to buy brunch now because of this?
I mean,
I will.
You can buy brunch. I am not mad. I just like to play the devil's advocate. And right now I am the devil because I'm advocating for my point of view right now, which is don't just... Here's the thing. People are trying to connect on some level.
Right, exactly.
I know that deep down, when somebody tries to mansplain dahab to me this time of year, what they're really trying to do is say, hey, there's a part of your culture or there's a part of you that I find so foreign and so this and that. And I want you to know that I experienced it and I want to connect with you about this because most people don't know what I'm talking about when I brag about my safari trip to Africa or whatever.
But it feels a little flexy.
Well, I wish people would try to connect on a more authentic way and instead of just being like, maybe it's just wild to me. Like when somebody says that they're from England, it's never the first thing out of my mouth to say, I've been there. I went to Stonehenge. You know what I mean?
Oh, I would totally say stuff like that. What would you say?
I'd say, cool, what part of England? Why did you come to America? What
I would say that.
Like, I would actually just treat them like an interesting human being before I'm like, oi, governor.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're more mature than me. I mean, that's not surprising.
Okay, yeah, no.
I mean, it's kind of a bit they're doing, though.
Who?
Oh, hello, I'm from the UK. It's like, okay, enough. Like, enough. We get it. Oh, yeah, right, well, I don't know. Well, maybe do know. Like, that's not a way to talk. Enough.
Maybe do know. Maybe do know.
No, listen, obviously I recognize accents are real, but this is a true, I'm the asshole myself on this. This was mean, and I don't know what my problem was, but there was a guy in college who had a British accent, and I just insisted it was fake. And I don't think it was fake. I don't know why I was so sure it was fake. But I, for years, kind of harangued this individual and said, your accent is fake. Stop doing it. That was crazy.
That's so hilarious and mean and borderline bullying.
It was
just
absolutely.
Go up to somebody and be like, what if somebody just went up to you and was like, I don't believe you're Cuban. And then just died on that hill.
I wouldn't care, but I'd be like, I don't know. So you want to meet my dad and get him started? I mean, good luck. I'm going to call him right now. But like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, I think it was because I maybe was so ignorant that I thought British people had to look British, and he really did not look British.
Oh, God. Was he brown?
No.
Okay, good.
No, he was a white dude.
I was going to say that's even more racist where you
No.
Yeah, okay, thank God.
He's a very plain...
I would have to get up and leave if you were like, there was this black guy, and I had to tell him he wasn't from the UK.
No. God, no. Actually, I did. I think I've talked about this, but I was saying I was rejected by this gal, which sent me on a reflective journey. Okay. But prior, the way I was telling this story is that it sent me inward, which I thought was a fine thing to say. But then I found myself telling the story in a loud place. And I'm like, yeah, I got rejected, you know? It sent me inward, which actually sounds a lot like I said the N-word and led to a very awkward moment where my two friends were looking at me like, what? And I was like, I don't know what just happened, but the reaction you're doing doesn't match what I said.
Oh,
so
that's very funny.
I'm dropping inward from the very dangerous.
Yeah. Inward is too close.
Too close.
It sent me, N-word.
Yeah. Don't use the I word. That's where I'm at now. Just get away from that shit.
Get away from all words. Let's be Chad Damiani and clown our way through.
Let's do the rest of the episode.
Blinking in Morse code.
Words. We are friends though. Just can we reassure everyone? Because I think like I was being bitty and I would not actually approach a novel.
Questionable Cuban harasses Latina Egyptian about heritage ?
Folks, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. You can get the latest and greatest stickers. We've got merch coming down the pike. It's a lot of exciting stuff. So please join us, join our Discord, wonderful community. You love to see it. And yes, people confirming here from our solar panel array in the Mojave Desert, we do have one heck of an ep for you today. Our second story of the day. AITA for telling my fiance he can't ever talk to me about plastic surgery again. But first, it's AITA for the way my relationship with my friend business partner went south. I am a data storage expert and have invented a data storage method. Riveting! I quit my job and spent 2 years developing my idea. I talked about this with a friend of 30 plus years. He's a lawyer and smart guy and seemed that he brought real value to the pursuit. He got involved for the promise of equity. We didn't formalize our agreement. He gave himself the title COO, even though he has no operations experience. I didn't object. He interposed himself in all communications with the attorneys. I didn't realize what a bad idea this was. He convinced me that he should do the initial writing of the provisional application, even though he had no experience writing patents. He then spent a year writing it. During that year, he insisted we can't talk to investors, work with contractors, employers, or customers. We finally sent it to the patent attorney. The junior guy at this firm took what my friend wrote, about 55 pages, boiled it down to about 12 pages that totally captured the concept clearly and beautifully. 14 months after starting the app, we finally filed it. I agreed to his name being on the provisional patent. We needed the business organized properly, including defining his role in ownership. I called him with a very generous offer, which he never heard because he led with, I'm not interested in anything less than an equal partnership. I said, then you need to tell me what a fair and equitable settlement would be if you do not move forward with the company. Wow. He evaded, but at this point I needed the answer. 4 times we met to discuss this. He keeps evading. Finally, I told him I don't want you for a partner. He hung up. We talk later and he tells me part of the invention is his. He can't point to what he invented, but he is an inventor. He talks about letting the courts decide what's his. Meanwhile, I tell the IP attorney what's going on and learn that my friend's advice caused the process to take 14 months instead of 2 and cost me more money.
Oh, of course.
This year delay caused me to run out of money and I had to go back to work. Anyway, around March of this year, he had made me the offer that if I didn't say anything negative, he'd go quietly. It's now October and this thing is still dragging. He and his attorney have been uncooperative and seem to be dragging things on. I can say that if the shoe were on the other foot, this would have never happened. If I got involved in someone else's business pursuit, I have nailed down the terms long before I got the half of this is mine stage. Needless to say, we're not friends. AITA.
If he didn't say anything negative, I wonder if part of that contract is not going anonymously on Reddit and posting about it, but I'm sure there's no way.
Well, I mean, maybe he's saying data storage, but it was some other equally boring but nuanced part of IT, you know? It was actually, Docker. But like, I just think it's funny that OP actually wrote, if I got involved in someone else's business pursuit, I'd have nailed down terms long before. It's like, you literally are and literally didn't.
Right. It's like starting a sentence. If I were me.
Yeah.
Which I am.
Yeah.
I think.
You did not do that. If things had been different, they would have been. Yes, true.
It is what it is.
There
a
we
proof.
go.
Circle. As an attorney, it's kind of hard for me to feel bad for this guy. It's hard for me to feel bad for either of them because it sounds like there was shoddy work done.
Yeah, I mean, we have a sticker coming out that says "Get it in writing."
I love it.
Are you for it? Is there any instance where you wouldn't want to get it in writing?
No, of course you want to get it in writing.
Always get it in writing,
Always get
right?
it in writing.
At no point did that happen. I think it's easy to see his side and be like, oh, well, he was a shitty lawyer and he did it wrong. But I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know enough about the mechanics of this. Kind of sounds like he might have done it right and just have been long-winded about it, which is a lack of experience thing, but not a lack of effort thing.
Right.
Like, you were the one who opted to participate with this individual. You don't get to give them, like, act like they're in the wrong completely.
I feel, right. I think that both, I don't want to both sides this, but, you know, this guy, I feel for entrepreneurs because it's really hard to know what to do and how to really protect yourself. It's kind of something you have to learn the hard way unless you have, like, a good attorney at the get-go with you who has integrity and isn't going to... And you have this some people don't even know to have the conversation at the very beginning about what the credit is going to look like. Like, okay, what is this going to look like? I want you to know you are helping me as an attorney, blah, blah, blah. But we need to get in writing or at least agree that you're not going to take credit for this invention. This is nothing. Yeah,
or partial, right? I was thinking you might get like 5 or 10%.
Right, exactly.
For doing the patent. And that seems reasonable.
Right.
MM172, top comment, ESH. I mean, the entire reason you're in this mess is that you didn't nail down terms or ask any of the questions you belatedly realized you should have. So I'm not sure why you're surprised he didn't think he'd get any pushback at naming his own stake. More importantly, I'm not sure why you're here. It's in the lawyer's hands now. Let them sort it out. Oh, I guess this was Brumble Hag, which, by the way, great username, OP. We give you credit there.
Love
That's
Spoonerism.
Fun. That's fun. Is that what a spoonerism when you change the letters? That's fun. He wrote, I trusted a friend of 30 years, one that I've helped out when he was in a jam many times. I expected better. Well, maybe he expected you to get him out of this jam. This is fun. P. Ansa J writes, there's an old adage, good fences make good neighbors. Mm-hmm. What's that about? That's clicking.
About getting it, having boundaries and being like, Danny, you and I wrote in this contract that, like, you're going to help me for this. It's about the scope.
You were helping me
for this type of scope. We nail it down, having good boundaries. Good fences make good neighbors. Otherwise, you're arguing over, well, that's my property and that's your property, and where does my property line end and where does your property line end?
I love that.
You've never heard that expression?
Never. Oh. That's such a good boundary statement. We might have to throw that on a sticker.
Good fences make good neighbors? That's
you hate it.
I mean, I love the saying, but it's kind of like putting, like, grass is greener on the other side on a sticker. It's like a very common saying.
Yeah, well, we're putting our own spin on it.
Oh, okay.
Is it legally? Is the legal shield still up? Oh my God! I'm gonna get.
Our defenses have been compromised.
That actually costs almost $100 a minute to have the legal shield up.
That running, just leaving the light on. How much energy that uses?
It uses a lot.
The legal shield,
and it only uses coal-based energy.
Absolutely.
I don't know why the legal shield we bought.
It smells terrible in here.
It's pretty nasty.
There's a small Victorian child shoveling coal into a furnace to power that.
Well, that comes
shield.
with it. I can't. Just don't look at him directly because it gets uncomfortable. He'll get self-conscious and he won't shovel as much coal.
Please, sir.
No, quiet. Keep shoveling. We're gonna turn the legal shield on again.
Oh, but you said I would have porridge after this.
No. There's the manual says only feed you porridge once every 2 months. AITA for the way my relationship with my friend business partner went south. I think this is an obvious. Everyone sucks because you got to get it in writing, as we all know. As I have tattooed on my lower back. Good fences make good neighbors. AITA. For telling my fiance he can't ever talk to me about plastic surgery again. My fiance recently has been talking a lot about plastic surgery for women. I don't know why he's doing it, but it's like he just found out plastic surgery is a thing. He's very impressed by it and started following a lot of before and after surgery accounts. I don't use social media, but he sends me pics from them sometimes. He has this idea that surgery can make everyone beautiful and it can make already beautiful women more beautiful. He doesn't tell me to get surgery, but I feel like that it's being implied or at least making me insecure. It's like when I was in high school, I had an ED for a while I weighed 95 pounds. And I remember going out to get ice cream with my mom and she wouldn't stop talking about how fat the ice cream was making her. We had tons of instances like this where she wasn't directly calling me fat and she didn't mean to, but to me, it felt like she was.
Passive aggressive.
Terrible.
ED means eating disorder, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
not erectile dysfunction.
dysfunction.
So I told him I have ED.
Not the ED that you're familiar with.
ED. So I told him, because my dick won't eat, I told him I don't want to hear anything about plastic surgery ever anymore. I honestly do think I'm beautiful, but the more he tells me this, the less I feel I am. He has me focusing on things I haven't worried about for a while. He says he feels like I'm taking away his rights to be comfortable, talk about what he wants in his own home, but I feel like he's taking away my comfortability. He told me he doesn't agree with this, but one of his friends called me a controlling biatch. I do think he agrees because he has no reason to tell me otherwise. I feel like I'm dealing with this all wrong and acting like a generally bad person, but I can't stand for him to talk about it anymore. This is my first relationship, so I've been making a lot of mistakes he's had to deal with.
Oh,
AITA.
Oof. Laden with that too is a lot of like shame of like, well, he has to do. Wow. There's like 8 different. I have 8 points, Your Honor. What a prize of a man to just be like, here, did you know plastic surgery is a thing? I'm just simply admiring the craft. But here, I think it could make already beautiful noses more beautiful. I'm like, what? I think a crucial thing that has been left out of this OP is what type of surgery we're talking about. We've talked about this sometime.
Yeah.
Is it something that's not invasive? Is it something that can be done very like, or is this like, I want you to get lipo, butt implants, Botox, a boob job, you know, like I want you to look like a fucking Kardashian and I want it to look like I'm living with a goddamn sentient filter. Like that's...
Ooh, that's a good line. Sentient filter. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really transparent what he's doing. We talk a lot about the land of plausible deniability, where it's like, yeah, I'm just curious about plastic surgery, babe. It's nothing personal to you. I've just gotten really into before and after pictures of plastic surgery.
He's doing a really bad Inception, where he's like, maybe I can make it her idea.
Yeah. Worse Inception.
Maybe I can just shame her and keep sending her videos, and then she'll be like, maybe I should get surgery.
It's like Inception, and then you don't fall asleep, and you're just sitting there awake, and they're just like, can you give us a company, please? Can you give it to us, please?
Can you just give me? Why just give me the company, please?
Grabbing their arm, please. We'll buy you a Coke. You tired?
Come on.
You can go back to sleep if you give us a company. Give it. But
that was why our pitch meeting for Inception failed.
I know we put a lot of effort into it, but whatever. He's trying to act like this is subtle. It's not subtle. And I also am really concerned about her line that like, it's my first relationship, so I've been making a lot of mistakes. So is that just the energy of this ship where he's like, yeah, you're actually being bad at a relationship right now? Like, remember when you said that you felt hurt? Yeah, that's like bad relationshiping, girl.
And what bothers me is like, I didn't mean to hurt you. And so like, that's what I think you're doing wrong here is you're getting hurt. You're hurting yourself.
Yeah, no, that reverse card is super, I hate to drop it.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Exactly, right?
I think it's absolute trash that somebody is trying to incept plastic surgery into their, is it fiance?
Yeah. And this is relevant to you because
I was in a relationship for 3 years.
Oh, I wasn't even going that way. Go on.
Oh.
I was going to your dad was a plastic surgeon.
Oh.
And he never pressured you. That's something you told me, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah. My dad was a plastic surgeon and never pressured me. He did actually incept it by raising me in Los Angeles, however.
The long game.
And I was like, I really should get surgery, shouldn't I? No, I was going to say I was in a relationship where the person at some point said we couldn't get married until I lost weight. And you and I have talked about this before about how, like, you know, what are the ethics of demanding? Like, on the one hand, the part of me that hates myself and that also has an ED was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's right. Like, everyone's entitled to be physically attracted to the person that they're with. But at the same time, it's like, we've been dating for 3 years. I've looked like this for 3 years. I might have gained a little bit of weight, and how like manipulative and shitty to be like, the only thing that's keeping me from vowing my love to you is those 8 pounds. And I think that's fucked up. And so when this person asked me to lose weight, I genuinely said, that's literally the only thing that's preventing you from proposing to me.
Yeah.
And then I got so offended that I turned on lawyer brain. All the emotions went out, and then I cross-examined him. And I said, how much weight should I lose? Should we do a daily wing, a weekly wing, or a monthly wing?
Oh, scary.
And I started asking him actual logistical questions. And he said, what if I lost too much weight? What if I get bony and then and I lose my tits? What about that?
Yeah.
What if we got married and and all the questions he had were, or all the answers were like, oh, I don't know. So clearly he wasn't actually really, like, this was something else. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting.
He didn't have any answers. I said, okay, how are we going to, like, is it going to just be like, you're going to eyeball it and be like, yeah, I think this is attractive to me now.
So part of you, it seems like it plausible that was what the answer he was giving, but in truth, it wasn't that. It was something more complicated.
I do believe he was no longer attracted to me, but the way he went about it and the way he asked me to lose weight, I was just like, this is bullshit. And is this like, are you having cold feet? Is this about something else?
Right. Okay. Can I offensively ask the flip question here?
Yeah.
If he really was just asking you to lose 10 pounds, which is not that hard, even though I understand why you're offended, did it also follow that you didn't think he was worth it? And you're like, fuck that. You're not worth losing 10 pounds for, motherfucker.
It was more just that, like, recovering from an eating disorder and having my own, like, very heavy baggage with my body image. To me, it wasn't... I was just shocked that somebody could say that my body was the only thing keeping them from devoting their entire life to me. That not just my body, but like 8 pounds, 10 pounds.
It feels disingenuous.
It scared me that, like, oh, well, okay, so then, like, if I gain 10 pounds or if I, God forbid, you knock me up, if we got married and we decided to have children.
20 pounds at least.
Might even gain 11 pounds.
Yeah.
What if I don't bounce back in 30 days the way that women are supposed to? And
yeah.
You know, well, I don't know. It raised so many red flags, and I was genuinely offended. And at the end of the day, I was like, look, sir, you're no man of wax.
It also sounds like he framed it as an ultimatum.
He did.
Because if he had said, hey...
He didn't. In the beginning, he said, I'm not breaking up with you. And then I was like, let's unpack this. How are we going to decide I've lost enough weight? And he had no answers. And
well,
I was
wait,
just
he
like,
brought it in, I'm not breaking up with you?
Yeah, he said, I'm not breaking up with you. And I said, well, I might be.
Well, yeah, I mean, just framing it with an I'm not breaking up with you is basically, it's like a diet ultimatum where you're like not quite, you don't have the balls to just own it.
On the nose,
but it's
diet.
like, oh, yeah.
It was a diet ultimatum in every sense
it really
of the word.
was. I'm not breaking up with you is really just one extra word that is I am breaking up with you unless, you know.
Right.
I'm not breaking up with you, but you need to do X is pretty much
right.
saying I'm breaking up with you unless you do X. Like, that's the same thing.
Yeah. The way that I received it wasn't as an, I mean, actually, no, I guess I did receive it as an ultimatum of we can't get married until, and it's not, so, I'd like to believe that theoretically being honest with your partner wouldn't.
Well, if he had brought it in,
however, it was just like the baggage around it, plus the idea that if 10 pounds is what's causing you to not want to be with somebody, then maybe that actually raises a lot of other.
Because what if he had brought it in and he's like, listen, I love you, da 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 da. That said, and I just don't feel physically attracted to you. I know that's not fair. I know it's only a small change, but I feel bad because, you know, sex is an important part of our relationship and I'm just not as sexually attracted to you. I'm having this problem, and then left it in your court. Would that have been workable? Would that have hit the same way?
I don't know. It's a really hard. I would like to say that there is a universe where I could be reasonable and objective about it, but I have so many issues around my weight that I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could have that conversation without being offended. And I think that that's hard and not fair for the other person when they really want to just say, I'm not attracted to you anymore physically. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just have this silly fairy tale in my head that what I have to offer is so much more than my body and my looks that even if I did gain weight, somebody would still want to be with me. Is that crazy? Why haven't they made The Little Mermaid about that?
Yeah.
What if the Little Mermaid gains weight and then she goes to Ursula and is like, Ursula, help me not be fat like you.
Right.
And then she goes, all right. I don't know. This is so stupid. Cut this out.
We'll cut out a lot. Don't you worry. AITA for telling my fiance he can't ever talk to me about plastic surgery again.
No, you're not the asshole lady. He's the asshole. If he wants to poorly incept plastic surgery, he needs to shut the fuck up. Either sack up and say, hi, I'm a shallow loser and I want you to look like a filter.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm no, real prize either, and I'm going to continue being a mediocre man, but please, you do something.
Top comment, Bewitch51. Tell him you've become interested in castration and vasectomy. See how he handles repeated conversations on those topics.
Right.
I think that pretty much sums up how this is a form of pressuring. For all these reasons, we agree. AITA for time my fiance can't ever talk to me about plastic surgery again. We agree, not the asshole he is. All right, folks, we're going to wrap up here on AITA for denying my daughter plastic surgery. I have two daughters, Kate, 18, and Jen, 16. Of course, I think they're both beautiful, but the reality is that Kate is considered more conventionally attractive by societal standards. Jen, to me, is absolutely gorgeous, but didn't win the genetic lottery like Kate. A few years ago, Kate started doing some modeling after winning a pageant and did a few local commercials. I was hesitant to let her do this, but she seems to really enjoy it. She gets a lot of attention for this at school. She's also quite popular as she is both very good at sports and academics. She is valedictorian and just got accepted to an Ivy League university. While she works very hard, I would say most of these things come pretty naturally to her. Jen, on the other hand, is also smart, talented, and to me, beautiful. She studies much more than her sister, but is unfortunately not quite at her sister's level of academic skill. She also gets put off by people at school or other family acquaintances telling her how amazing her sister is. She's not as good at sports and ended up quitting because she wasn't as into it as Kate. She wanted to try pageants, modeling, but she wasn't quite as successful in the two pageants she tried. Kate's modeling agency also told her she wasn't quite what they were looking for. Jen even lost a lot of weight and wears heavy makeup, neither of which I really encourage, while Kate easily maintains a smaller body and rarely wears makeup. All of this built up so much resentment that a few days ago, after Kate was accepted to her dream school and I suggested buying Kate a car, Jen screamed at me for never doing anything to support or congratulate her. As much as I hate to admit it, there just aren't as many things to congratulate Jen for. I always encourage her and try to tell her congratulations for good performance at school. When she didn't win her pageant or other hobbies, we still celebrated, or I would ask if she wanted to, but she often didn't want to. I guess this was just the last straw, but she screamed at me and her father that nothing she did was good enough and that it wasn't fair that Kate got into college just for being pretty, which isn't the case. She also said that if we wanted to be fair, we would use the money to pay for plastic surgery for her, since it was our fault she wasn't as pretty as Kate.
Oh, God.
She has refused to talk to us and hasn't really left her room since. After we told her no to the plastic surgery, she didn't even come out to Christmas, despite my begging her.
I hate this.
She's in therapy, but I don't think it's a miracle cure for whatever's going on. I really don't think physical surgery will solve this. Jen really does work hard, and I know it must be frustrating being in her sister's shadow and not getting much praise because she doesn't have many awards or attention for looks as Kate. Maybe we're assholes for not helping level the playing field. AITA.
Outer surgery is never going to fix an inner wound,
Boom.
And we do need a lot of therapy. And I feel like, I don't know, I was identifying very hard with Jen just because I can just feel, when I grew up in LA with a bunch of attractive, white, tall, blonde women.
Yeah.
And I was none of the above and in high school. And so I could see the, like, how deep of a wound not fitting into, like, a societal beauty standard creates. However, like, that we need more therapy and less surgery. However, I don't know, how old is this person?
18 and 16.
18 and 16.
Kate and Jen. I'm not seeing a lot of...
at 16, you can't get surgery at 16. You gotta...
I'm very against the surgery. I think that is an impulse. I understand it,
Right.
but I think that's a fair thing to deny.
I think that's too young. Yeah.
It's not. I think you nailed it though. This is seems like it's about the outside, but it's about the inside.
Yeah.
That said,
It's about your mediocre inside.
Oh, don't say that's
I'm just
about poor
kidding.
Jen. I think this is a toughie because not only is Kate hot, she's apparently fucking smart and good at sports. So
And
she's
guess
really,
what? She got a scholarship full ride to Harvard for being pretty. I just think that's very funny that she said she got into college for being pretty. Although, she's not wrong necessarily because being pretty conventionally gives you confidence and you feel like you could do a bunch of other things if people are telling you can do anything. And that just like seeped into her mind. And that's why she got into college because she's like, I can get a perfect score on that SAT. If I could fucking rock white pleather in November, I can certainly nail this SAT score. And she took that confidence to the bank.
I think you're 100% right. I think being pretty is a privilege across the board, and I think you're right. It's a huge confidence booster.
We're told.
We're told, yeah. I haven't actually known. I earned my damn stripes as a fucking 7.1. So, No, like, and by the way, I used to be a 6.1. So, but I always hover on that 0.1. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah, I just can't seem to pop it. But anyway, no, I think I think this is a really tough situation. High school is already like the hardest thing that ever happened to anybody. I think the parents here, I see a lot of failure on their side. And I mean, I think the line that really sums it up is like, oopers, sorry, but like Kate just has more to celebrate than Jen. And it's
that fucking attitude is like, look, we're just going to call it. We're just calling balls and strikes here, and Jen is a dud. And I'm just like, Mom, Dad, you know what? It's actually your fucking job to find things to celebrate about your own goddamn spawn.
Well put. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And if you can only celebrate the objective whatever that Kate's happening, then yeah, you are shitty parents. You are the asshole for you being ugly.
Gotta compensate for this. I mean, you know, and I, by the way, I think it's tough probably for both people because, you know, in some sense, I'm sure Kate has a hollowness associated with this, right? She's on this gravy train, this prestige train.
I love this.
And I'm sure like a lot of what is coming at her is actually very vapid, right? That's how these things kind of go. It's like, yeah, Kate has the kind of like she's constantly in the limelight, which has its own unique problems because then you're getting lime love. You're not getting like real love. Parents got to be attuned to that. But like, I think Jen needs to be celebrated and put up and like just given more attention to.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a plant getting not enough water.
Or sunlight. Or limelight.
There we go.
And what's interesting too is like, they're saying like, yeah, Kate has more to celebrate based on what? Based on all of these external indicia of worth. And what they're not doing is ingraining their daughters with some kind of ethical, moral, anything, some sort of structure that's not external validation. It's like, what is your value, Jen, as a human being, as a child of God, as a citizen of the world, as somebody that, you know, we love? Like, we need to look at the inherent things that Jen has to bring to the table, but instead we're talking about sports and SAT scores and cup sizes and waist sizes and whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, this is your fault for not finding enough in your shallow parents.
I think they are. And I think this is also probably translating to their behavior and they're subcommunicating to Jen that she's inferior to Kate. And that is probably very harmful.
Counterpoint, two parents cannot undo all of the societal brainwashing and messaging that women must first and foremost be pretty and easy on the eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
There's only so much two parents can do. Having said that, it sounds like they're conceding that their daughter, the younger daughter's inferior, the way that they write about her.
Exactly. It sounds like they are actively...
Sounds like you don't love them both equally.
Actively reinforcing.
Right.
Sensitive ad 1063 writes EEK. So here's the thing. I don't know what that means. If you had said, I'm not buying you a car yet because you're not in college yet, we as a family can still share and I don't have the money to afford payments. I get it. The problem is when you state there aren't as many reasons to congratulate Jen, you didn't seem to have any comeback. Tell me, do you value anything about this daughter or is Kate really that much better? Have you at any point in the past discussed that grades weren't a competition? When she wasn't as good at sports or passion, did you ever suggest her trying something else? Hockey, swimming?
Maybe Kate can't take a hint. You know what I mean? Maybe Kate has a lot of like low EQ, or maybe there's things that Jen has that Kate doesn't, and they're not celebrating that. We just said that again.
It doesn't need to be a competition. It needs to be something that you emotionally compensate for and support, right? Like, it's not Jen versus Kate. You want both your kids. It's the
value system.
You're not making Jen feel important, and that is part of your duty as a parent.
Agreed.
Especially when faced with a nasty disparity like this.
Yeah. Your
job as a parent is to try to help your kid find a niche. It seems like every time Jen felt down on herself, instead of trying to pull her back up, you just went along with it. YTA.
1000%.
I really do feel like...
Poor Jen.
Jen,
if you're listening...
I fucking hate these parents.
It gets better.
OP writes, seriously, it does. She needs to get out of this household.
Emancipate.
OP then responded to that. We bought Kate the car because she's 18 and got accepted to college. Jen couldn't get her license due to COVID and also just turned 16. We do celebrate Jen. Anytime she has a pageant or does some kind of competition or a show or anything, or even does well in an exam she studied really hard for, and if she doesn't do as well, we celebrate whether she wins or not. It's just that she doesn't do as much in general as her sister. We tell her we're happy as long as she does her best. We're still proud of her. And yes, we encourage her to try other hobbies. We don't try to make her feel like anything is competitive, but we want both our daughters to do the things they like and work hard for them, and they both do. Sadly, Jen just hasn't been as successful despite how much effort she puts in.
Woof. Hasn't been as successful.
I think that's another problem with this.
That's another problem. How are we defining success? Again, grades, extracurriculars. These parents are like the university of mom and dad, and they're like, Jen, we're looking at these extracurrics in your resume. She's a suffering. And they need to be like, hey, maybe Jen's successful at not being a shitty person. Who knows? Maybe Kate's a total see you next Tuesday. We don't know. Maybe Kate's a mean person, but she looks so good on paper.
I mean, I feel like...
Do you like how my instinct is to just attack
shots.
Kate?
It's
I don't
natural.
know why. I'm getting like
okay.
really defensive,
it's
and I'm
okay.
like, maybe Kate, maybe Jen has a good personality and is a late bloomer.
I think it's a very tempting thing.
Even if maybe Jen's gonna have her first kiss when she's 18, and that's okay.
Hot. I get what you're doing though. Is that not a natural inclination?
No, I'm projecting.
Hot.
Hello, we just talked about Brene, or my name isn't Brooklyn Brown.
Brindley Brooke. Get it right now. Hot, smart, successful woman. Do we all not cower in fear? Like, you know, there's something very intimidating about a person like this.
It's not so much. I'm just like mad on Jen's behalf that she's not being valued.
I think that's it. I think the problem is this family. And by the way,
we shouldn't tear Kate down. Maybe Kate's just doing her own goddamn thing.
There's no need to tear Kate down.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reality is,
Kate, I didn't mean that, and that's my baggage, and I'm dealing with it.
I think this family is locked into this success external validation paradigm. And guys, I don't have any kids. I don't envy this position. This seems really, really tough. You got two daughters very close in age. They're going to compete. One happens to be, by conventional metrics, blowing out the other. We do hate to see that in a household.
You hate to see
Very tough dynamic. But I guess my thought is, instead of framing this with any of these references, by the way, why is the framing here about congratulating and celebrating? What about hanging out with? What about talking to? What about making feel important and meaningful and valuable? Not with regard to the external world, but with regard to the internal family system.
Right.
Maybe it's getting Jen involved with cooking when you're cooking or going to the bookstore or seeing movies with dad. I don't know, but like keeping her stimulated and involved and happy through other means. And that feels like a very like compensatory thing that is more emotional driven so that she's not focusing on these feelings of inadequacy or whatever it may be.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, these parents need to also go to therapy. There needs to be a family therapy.
I think so, because everyone's reading this post and seeing that it feels like they're reinforcing this, whether they want to or not. I think they're trying, but they're not quite, because maybe that's what because they think it's true, and that's a problem.
It's giving very like emotional latchkey kid.
Yeah.
Not like a real latchkey kid, but it's just sort of like, yeah, you're fine. We're celebrating you.
We're celebrating
like, just because you narrate that we're celebrating you doesn't mean I feel celebrated.
Really hard time. Really hard time. It's a hard time even without a Kate above you. AITA for denying my daughter plastic surgery. I think we agree wholeheartedly on this one. These parents are trying, but they simply have not cracked the code, and they are missing the mark. YTA.
YTA.
All right, guys, that is the app. Please follow Christie at AUTO Bahna, BAHNA, Autobahna on Twitter. Check out her monthly show.
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
I'm Christie Bahna on Twitter. But it doesn't
We'll put the handles.
Who cares?
Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.